From marking the beginning of a new evolution in the Transformers saga, to all the thought that went into making Rise of the Beasts, down to the music. This is everything you need to know about Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the plot, cast, and release date. It's been a long time coming. I think I pretty much speak for everyone when I say, finally! Lorenzo di Bonaventura told us back in 2018 that there would be another installment in the Transformers franchise, and that the 7th installment would mark an evolution. Now, this came from the film producer immediately after the success of Bumblebee, and I'm sure everyone remembers just how amazing that movie was. The Transformers franchise was expected to end after the disaster that was Transformers: The Last Knight, and Bumblebee was Paramount's desperate attempt at reviving the once successful franchise. The film had a lower budget than the previous 5 films. The marketing was close to non-existent, and everyone kinda expected the film to fail. But it didn't, because of its stellar cast and epic storyline. Then, Bonaventura told everyone that the next film would be even better, which had us all thinking, how could it get better than that? But after teasing fans all over the globe, the cast and crew pretty much went silent on the project. We knew there would be another film, but we never really knew when or who'd star in it, until right now. So here's everything you need to know about the Transformers films that's combining elements from Beast Wars. Let's start with the plot. The name gives us a pretty significant hint about the storyline. Transformers Rise of the Beast will take inspiration from ancient Transformers mythos, Beast Wars. The animated show was responsible for reviving the 2007 cartoon, which was what Michael Bay based the film franchise on. It's almost poetic. The studio is using Beast Wars once again to bring life to the franchise. Okay, so Rise of the Beast is set in the year 1994. That's close to 300 years since Autobots and the Decepticons ceased to exist. And around the same time, the animal-themed Maximals and Predacons took center stage. It's set in Brooklyn, New York, and follows the story of 2 archaeologists, Noah and Elena. Noah's an ex-military mechanics expert who's struggling to provide for his family, and Elena's a prodigy in her work, who hasn't been recognized yet because her boss keeps taking credit for everything she does. Anyway, Noah and Elena come across a few Transformers artifacts, and somehow, that's the catalyst for an inevitable war. The two then go on a globe-trotting adventure with the Autobots. Is that all? Unfortunately, yes. We don't have much from the studio itself, but hey, I'm sure fans can infer more than just a little from the promotional posters. A promotional image was leaked by comicbook.com, which showed Optimus Prime at the forefront, with the rest of the Autobots and the Maximals assembled behind him. You can spot more than a few familiar Transformers in the poster, including there are the Autobots Mirage, Bumblebee, Arcee, Wheeljack, and Stratosphere. On the other side, we can see Optimus Primal leading his own team of Maximals. This includes Cheetor, Airazor, and Rhinox. So what can we tell from the poster? Quite a lot, actually. For starters, Optimus Prime is coming back, and also Rise of the Beast might focus majorly on the Maximals. But there's a strong chance we'll get to see just about every Transformers generation in the film. So, who's playing who? After Shia LaBeouf kicked off the franchise and Mark Wahlberg carried it on, it's time to give the reins to a new lead, Anthony Ramos. And yes, he's the guy from Hamilton. Ramos is the franchise's first lead actor of color, who will be playing Noah. Luna Lauren Velez has been cast as Noah's mother, and Dominique Fishback will be starring opposite Ramos as artifact researcher Elena. The only other major human character in the film will be played by Toby Wigwe. His role as Reek, someone Noah and Elena meet on the way of their globe-trotting journey, was inspired by Stephen Cable's best friend, who unfortunately passed shortly before filming began. Now, if that doesn't say ride or die, I don't know what does. Besides the few new faces set to make their Transformers debut, a few good old staples of the franchise are set to make their return. Obviously, it wouldn't be a Transformers film without Peter Cullen on board to voice Optimus Prime. Pete Davidson will voice Mirage once again. With Davidson voicing him, he might go from being the complicated character that he once was, used more so now for comic relief in the 7th film. Liza Koshy will be the voice of the Arcee created by the G1, and who could forget Wheeljack? The character will be voiced by Ted Lasso's Cristo Fernandez. Rise of the Beast will also feature the leader of the Terracons, Scourge, who will be voiced by Peter Dinklage. Scourge is one of the many new characters being introduced in the film franchise. He's a trophy hunter who can transform into a Black Peterbilt 359 semi-truck. Recently minted Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh will be marking her Transformers debut as Airazor, a female Maximal who can transform into a Peregrine Falcon. Okay, so now that you're thoroughly pumped, let's talk about when you'll get to see the film. Paramount Studios wants you to schedule time off from work on the 9th of June. That's when Rise of the Beast is expected to make its theatrical release. Now, I said expected because the studio has been pushing the film's release for a year now. The previous release date would have been June 24, 2022, which was then pushed to an indefinite time in 2023. June 9th is what everyone is crossing their fingers for. The film has garnered significant hype. When Stephen Caple Jr. released a sizzle trailer at CinemaCon in 2022, Twitter blew up, and it blew up for a second time later that year. When the studio released its first official trailer for Rise of the Beasts, the trailer was record-breaking. No, seriously, it broke Paramount's record for the most watched trailer in a 24-hour cycle. The clip garnered over 250 million views, and just when you thought the hype around Rise of the Beast was dying down, Caple promoted the film in a 30-second clip during the Super Bowl. So, with all those teasers and trailers, it's about time they released the film already. I'm sure everyone who's been a fan of the franchise since Michael Bay released the first film in 2007 is wondering the same thing. Will Rise of the Beast be anything like Bay's films? Bonaventura claimed the Rise of the Beast would be like nothing we've seen from the franchise before, which to some fans meant that the 7th installment might just break Bay's Transformers canon. However, we now have confirmation that Caple isn't looking to disrupt Bay's legacy in any way, maybe because he couldn't even if he wanted to. Caple's film is the prequel sequel to Bumblebee, which is set in an earlier timeline than Bay's films. Rise of the Beast itself is set close to a decade before the events of the first Transformers film. So a crossover between the two directors' worlds is unlikely. But then again, you never know. Maybe Caple has something up his sleeve. Maybe we'll get to see a glimpse into Bay's universe in some way that breaks the internet. It's safe to say that Caple has some pretty big ideas for Rise of the Beasts. The director even carefully chose the music for the trailer. You don't really hear much about a director choosing the soundtrack for a trailer. That's usually someone else's job. But in this case, Caple pretty much demanded that the Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die be prepared for the trailer. He said that the song captured the essence of the film, the era it was set in, and what fans could expect from Rise of the Beasts. So maybe there's a clue in there somewhere, who knows? So from choosing every last detail for the trailer himself, to chatter that there might not even be a 7th film, this was everything you needed to know about Transformers Rise of the Beasts.